We are October 28th, which is 24 hours away from the huge revelation about 3I Atlas. The interstellar visitor known as 3I Atlas will reach perihelion, its closest approach to our Sun, travelling at 152,000 miles per hour through a region of space that will remain hidden from every telescope on Earth. And I can't hide it anymore. A lot of things are going on behind the scenes that the public doesn't know about. Tomorrow, October 29th, there's a chance this visitor isn't just passing through. Fresh calculations indicate it could leverage the Sun's own immense gravity to decelerate and snare itself in our cosmic backyard for good. If this scenario plays out, our perception of reality would completely change, and humanity would be forced to live with a reality we have never been prepared for. Yet, that is not the most alarming aspect of this encounter. The latest data hints at something far more disquieting about the object's true nature and what it might be capable of during the period it's hidden behind the Sun. Scientists have detected pure nickel gas with zero iron blasting from the interstellar object 3I Atlas. This has never been seen before in nature. Even comets and asteroids in our solar system don't do this. The only place we see this exact signature is in industrial nickel refinement facilities on Earth, where the carbonyl process produces pure nickel through carefully controlled chemical reactions. Let me repeat that because it's crucial. The chemical signature coming from 3I Atlas is identical to what comes out of our factories. Not similar, identical. NASA is silent. The European Space Agency is silent. Something about 3I Atlas isn't adding up, and all eyes are on October 29th through 30th. This forces the question, are we observing a natural cosmic phenomenon, or are we about to encounter something deliberately engineered? Let me lay out the facts, because the underlying mathematics are telling a story that is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. When astronomers first charted the course of 3I Atlas back in July, they immediately flagged something as a statistical anomaly. This object's path is almost perfectly aligned with our solar system's ecliptic plane, the flat invisible disk on which all our planets travel to within a mere 5 degrees. Consider the implications of that. For every 100 interstellar objects arriving from random directions in three-dimensional space, this specific alignment would occur less than twice. The probability is 0.2%, 1 in 500. It's the cosmic equivalent of throwing a paper airplane from a skyscraper in a storm and having it glide perfectly through a mail slot on the other side of the city. Possible? Yes. Likely by chance? Absolutely not. But here's what makes this trajectory even more suspicious. 3I Atlas didn't just align with the ecliptic plane. Its path takes it past Mars at 29 million kilometers on October 3rd, past Venus at ideal observation angles, past Jupiter for potential gravitational deflection. If you were designing a grand tour of the inner solar system with maximum planetary encounters and minimum fuel expenditure, you would choose exactly this path, exactly this geometry, exactly this timing. Avi Loeb from Harvard has been explicit about this. He says the trajectory looks optimized, not random, and optimization implies intent. Intent implies intelligence. There is a possibility of a maneuver known as the O-Birth effect. And if you grasp this principle, you understand why October 29th has the potential to alter human history forever. Picture a gravitational amplifier. When a spacecraft dives deep into a planet's or star's gravity well, it gains tremendous speed. If it fires its thrusters at the very bottom of that dive, at its point of maximum velocity, even a minor burn yields a colossal change in its final trajectory. The faster you're moving, the more efficient your propulsion becomes. The sun's gravity well is the deepest in our entire solar system. And perihelion on October 29th is the exact moment 3I Atlas will be moving at its peak velocity, a staggering 250,000 kilometers per hour or 68 kilometers per second. What if this object initiates a burn at that precise instant? What if it uses the sun's power as a brake, slowing itself just enough to be captured by solar gravity, transitioning from a transient visitor to a permanent resident of our solar system? And here's the thing that keeps me awake at night. If 3I Atlas has been travelling for millions of years through interstellar space, if it's hollow, as the mass calculations suggest, if it's carrying payload, then maintaining some form of energy generation over those timescales would be essential. Nuclear fusion, matter-antimatter reactions, something we haven't even theorized yet. Whatever it is, it would need to produce continuous power for longer than human civilization has existed. And this is where the timing becomes either an extraordinary coincidence or profoundly suspicious. On October 29th, 3I Atlas will be on the far side of the Sun from Earth's perspective. We entered solar conjunction on October 21st. From our vantage point, we will be completely blind. During this pivotal window, our most powerful ground-based telescopes will be rendered useless, staring directly into the sun's overwhelming glare. This creates a gap in our surveillance that will last for weeks, potentially until mid-November. It is during this period of darkness that whatever is going to happen will happen, concealed from human eyes. If an O-berth maneuver occurs, if smaller probes deploy, if anything changes, we won't see it in real time. We'll only discover what happened after the fact, when the object emerges and we can measure its new trajectory. Think about that. The most critical moment of this object's passage through our solar system happens precisely when we can't observe it. Coincidence or design? But now we come to the finding that transforms this entire narrative from a curiosity into a matter of genuine unease. Loeb has just published new calculations concerning 3I Atlas, and his conclusions challenge the very foundation of what we believe we know about interstellar objects. His analysis suggests this colossal traveller may not be a solid body. The accumulating evidence increasingly points to a bizarre conclusion. It might be hollow. Let me explain why that is so significant, because this is where the physics becomes genuinely strange. Based on its observed brightness and estimated size, 3I Atlas should have a mass of roughly 33 billion tons minimum. To visualize that, imagine the mass of more than 5,000 Great Pyramids of Giza combined. Its diameter is estimated to be between 5 and 46 kilometers, depending on assumptions about composition and surface reflectivity. Yet, a deep paradox has emerged. When this gargantuan object flew past Mars on October 3rd, at a distance of only 29 million kilometers, its gravitational effect on the planet was virtually non-existent. The sophisticated spacecraft monitoring the encounter detected nothing. No perturbation in Mars's orbit, no measurable gravitational influence whatsoever. For an astrophysicist, this is a contradiction, as startling as watching an aircraft carrier float on water with the buoyancy of a canoe. The math simply doesn't work. Something fundamental about our observations does not make sense. Objects that have drifted through the interstellar void for eons should be the epitome of solid frozen mountains of primordial ice and compressed dust, forged in the violent birth of other star systems. They should be dense, compact, resilient, but the numbers refuse to align with our expectations. This leaves us with two possibilities, neither of which fits neatly within our current understanding of the universe. Either 3I Atlas is composed of some exotic matter with a density lower than anything we believe can form naturally, lighter even than man-made industrial foam, which would completely rewrite cosmic chemistry. Or the alternative, there is significantly less material inside this object than its external dimensions imply. The equations whisper one answer more loudly than any other. The interior is a void, empty space, a shell. Loeb's reasoning is elegant. If this object were a solid, uniform body of ice and rock, its mass, size, and rotational speed would all conform to predictable physical laws. They do not. Its observed spin is far too slow for a solid object of its apparent size. When you measure the rotation period of 3I Atlas, you get approximately 11 hours for a complete rotation. For a solid object several kilometers in diameter, this should produce observable distortions in shape, variations in brightness. We don't see those patterns. Conversely, its mass is far too low to maintain its observed rotational stability. An object with only 33 billion tons distributed across a 5 to 46 kilometer diameter should tumble chaotically. 3I Atlas doesn't tumble, it rotates with mechanical precision. The only way to reconcile these conflicting data points is to remove a substantial amount of mass from its interior, creating an internal cavity. The inescapable conclusion is that we are looking at a shell-like structure, something engineered, not formed by nature, and it is here that the story takes its most unsettling turn. Loeb's most recent hypothesis posits that 3I Atlas may not be a solitary traveller. Consider how a dandelion disseminates its genetic code across a meadow. It doesn't release one large, heavy seed that falls nearby. Instead, it sends out dozens of tiny, lightweight seeds, each with its own parachute, each carried by the wind, and each capable of founding a new colony far from the parent plant. Now, scale that principle to interstellar travel. Replace the biological drive with a technological one. What if 3I Atlas is a mothership carrying smaller independent probes within that hollow interior? And what if perihelion, that moment of maximum velocity when we are blind to its actions, is the designated deployment window? This is what makes Loeb's hypothesis scientifically testable. As of now, despite intense observation, no secondary objects have been definitively detected accompanying 3I Atlas. That current absence of evidence is critical because it establishes a baseline for a before and after comparison. If 3I Atlas is merely a natural comet under thermal stress, it may break apart. We would see fragments passively drifting away, their paths dictated by the momentum of the initial breakup. But if it is a delivery system, the pattern will be different. We wouldn't see a cloud of random debris. We would see discrete objects moving with apparent purpose, perhaps accelerating away from the parent body, perhaps even maneuvering towards specific destinations within our solar system. The Galileo Project observatories, which Loeb leads, are built specifically to scan our atmosphere for anomalous phenomena. He has stated unequivocally that any unusual activity that coincides with the perihelion passage of 3I Atlas would be of paramount interest. If new objects begin to appear in our skies, if sensor arrays pick up anomalies that cannot be explained by known aircraft or natural events, the timing relative to 3I Atlas would be too powerful a correlation to dismiss. And now we arrive at what might be the most peculiar element of this entire event, the part that suggests we're not being told everything. After 3I Atlas made its close approach to Mars on October 3rd, something strange occurred. A data blackout. Not a technical failure, not a routine delay. A coordinated silence across multiple space agencies. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, with its high-rise camera capable of resolving objects the size of a dinner table on the Martian surface, was in a perfect position for observation. The camera can achieve 30 centimeters per pixel resolution. Applied to an object passing 29 million kilometers away, that still gives unprecedented detail. The European Space Agency's Mars Express and Trace Gas Orbiter also had clear lines of sight. China's Tianwen-1 orbiter was in the vicinity, yet comprehensive data from these missions has been notably absent. Weeks have passed, no high-resolution images, no spectroscopic breakdowns, no detailed reports. NASA attributed the silence to a government shutdown that began just 2 days before the flyby. But here's the problem with that explanation. The spacecraft don't care about government shutdowns. They keep operating, they keep collecting data. The data exists, it's stored, it's being analysed, someone has seen it, but it's not being shared. The European Space Agency states its data is still working its way through processing pipelines. China, a nation whose space agency often shares new imagery within days, has issued no official comment. Complete radio silence. The timing is what raises questions. When multiple international space agencies that often compete for prestige, simultaneously withhold data from an event of this magnitude, it warrants close scrutiny. What did they see? What are they discussing behind closed doors? Why the coordination? Loeb has publicly requested access to the high-rise images. His blog posts specifically call out NASA for the delay. The silence in response is conspicuous. We will know the truth within a matter of weeks. On October 29th, as 3I Atlas passes through perihelion hidden behind the Sun, processes will occur that we cannot observe directly, but the consequences will become visible when the object emerges in November. If it continues on its predicted hyperbolic trajectory, if it accelerates away from the Sun, exactly as gravitational calculations predict, then we'll know it's natural. Unusual chemistry, yes, but ultimately a comet, not a craft. If deviations appear, if its trajectory changes, in ways that can't be explained by outgassing, if its velocity decreases when it should increase, then we'll know something happened during perihelion. An O-berth maneuver, a capture event, a deliberate action. If new objects appear, if the one becomes many, if smaller craft separate and begin their own trajectories toward inner system targets, then we'll know the mothership hypothesis was correct. The universe itself will provide an answer to a question humanity has asked since it first gazed at the night sky. Are we alone? And here's what terrifies me most. We're not asking that question in abstract philosophical terms anymore. We're asking it about a specific object with a specific trajectory, arriving at a specific time, exhibiting specific anomalies that challenge natural explanation. Tomorrow, October 29th, might be the day everything changes, or it might be just another comet passing through. But the data, the chemistry, the trajectory, the timing, all of it points towards something that makes even skeptical scientists uncomfortable. In November, ESA's JUICE spacecraft will have its observation window. JUICE carries instruments capable of detecting electromagnetic emissions, thermal signatures, and compositional analysis across multiple wavelengths. If 3I Atlas underwent any significant changes during perihelion, JUICE will see them. In December, specifically December 19th, 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to Earth at 1.8 astronomical units, approximately 270 million kilometers. Every major ground-based observatory will be pointed at this object. The James Webb Space Telescope will conduct detailed infrared spectroscopy, looking for changes in chemical composition, temperature, distribution, and structural integrity. The Hubble Space Telescope will capture high-resolution optical images. The Keck Observatory, the Very Large Telescope, Gemini North and South, all will be watching. And here's what we'll be looking for. Changes in rotation period, changes in trajectory that exceed predictions, changes in spectroscopic signature. And most importantly, we'll be watching for companions. If 3I Atlas released anything, we'll find it. The global astronomical community is coordinating this effort right now. This will be the most intensively observed object in the history of astronomy after perihelion. And if we confirm anomalies, if we gather evidence that can't be explained naturally, then protocols exist for what happens next. Loeb has been pushing for these protocols publicly. The UN has frameworks, largely theoretical until now, for first contact scenarios. Space agencies have contingency plans for detecting extraterrestrial technology. Planetary defense networks have identification and tracking capabilities that could be repurposed for non-threatening but artificial objects. But here's the uncomfortable reality. If 3I Atlas is technological, if it represents an intelligence that travelled light years to reach us, then we're not in control of what happens next. We're observers. We can watch, measure, analyse, but we can't interact meaningfully. We don't have spacecraft that can match its velocity. We don't have propulsion systems that could intercept an object moving at 68 kilometers per second. We're centuries away from that capability. So if this is first contact, it's on their terms, not ours. And that's what makes tomorrow so pivotal. Whatever this object is, whatever it's doing, it's happening, whether we're ready or not. The countdown ends tomorrow. Perihelion occurs. The blackout continues. And then in November, when telescopes reacquire the target, we'll see what emerged from behind the sun. We'll know if physics, as we understand it, is sufficient to explain Three-Eye Atlas, or if we need to expand our understanding to include the possibility that we've been visited by something that travelled between the Par stars. 24 hours, that's all we have left before everything potentially changes. Make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next will define the future of humanity's relationship with the cosmos.